Hello, and thank you for joining us.
There. Thank you for joining us once again for this, the 108th episode
of Drunk Doctor Who
podcast, wherein we discuss the 108th
serial
of Doctor Who.
The Horns of Nimon. Wonderful, hilariously badly, wonderfully overacted by the main bad guy, Soldeed. Well, the main bad guy for a good bit of it. Alright, I am drinking Captain Morgan Spiced Rum, 80 proof. And you're drinking?
Twisted Tea.
Twisted Tea. Cheers. Alright. If you are watching this, you probably have seen many of our other episodes, but I'm Hatter, this is Holden, just in case you aren't, and you haven't.
I haven't seen any of them.
Alright, today's January 2nd, 2023. So Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Well, Horns of Nimon was 4 episodes. And because of the break we took for Christmas and family stuff, holidays, this is yet another serial that crosses our actual date. Because it was originally broadcast 12/22/1979 to January 12th, 1980.
Happy New Year!
Yeah, this is literally the third time in the last 3 months that the date of the date of the broadcast is past the actual date, not in terms of year, but in month and day, because we've had due to life a lot of interruptions.
Holidays.
Yeah, holidays, football season, lots of people going to the emergency room, things like that. All right. Anyway, here's the Horns of Nimon. Still on the 4th Doctor. This is the penultimate serial of his 6th season. Of course, the companions are K9 and Romana 2, or Romana, and the bad guys.
Haven't got there yet.
The antagonists are Soldeed, S-O-L like the sun, D-E-E-D like the deed to a house.
What's the plural of Nimon?
Nimon.
Nimons?
No, Nimon.
Nimon?
No, they say it in there. There's several Nimon. Or Nimon. It's like deer. Deer's the plural and Nimon. Yeah.
He said several Nimon.
Nimon.
That's the plural.
Neiman Marcus. No. Anyway. So what happens is it's 4 episodes, and it's actually a fairly straightforward, simple story. There's not a whole lot to it, and it moves at a pretty decent clip. Although, except in the last episode, where there's a lot of walking around corridors. Yeah. They padded out the last 2 episodes decently on a 4 episode deal. One with the a bit of padding on the the recap. We haven't seen a recap that long since.
That was a long one, yeah. Several minutes.
Well, the 3rd Doctor, the first serial of his 5th season.
Is that the one with the links, the Sontar?
Yes, the Sontar. That fight scene where he. In the one episode, it's a bit shorter, but then when they do the recap, they show so much more of it to show that he's actually winning.
It's just like from
and it was,
to the video.
Yeah, it was a long recap. This is the longest one since then, and maybe it have been just as long. Anyway, to start us off, the Doctor, Romana, and K9 are in the TARDIS. The Doctor's trying to fiddle with some stuff in the TARDIS and mess with it. I still need to get the stinking light for over here. My side's still in darkness. I haven't done it yet because life has gotten in the way.
Does that move? Does it?
No, I've tried.
Oh, okay.
I've tried, but no, I can't get it to pivot.
We'll get you a nice key light. Get you a good side lighting.
I have a good side?
What you do is you get a warm light. Makes you look more tan.
I don't know. I'll just get a light.
These white lights make me look... Does it make me look washed out?
No. It's your light of tan that makes you look washed out. No. I'll just get a light over here and it'll be good. But I just haven't had the chance to do it yet.
Adds 10 pounds.
Everything's been busy.
Why do you have so many cameras on?
Alright, so anyway.
How many cameras did you eat?
Alright, So the Doctor is taking apart a good bit of the TARDIS, trying to work with some stuff, but he's doing it in some deep space area where nobody's going to mess with him. He's not affected by anything. But turns out that there's a gravitational pull in the area. They're still moving. And the gravitational pull is towards a ship. In the very beginning of the episode, we see two guys piloting the ship.
They are named pilot and co-pilot. That's all they're ever referred to as.
Really?
Yeah, it never says their name.
Oh my gosh, okay. So the pilot and co-pilot, the nameless people, they're trying to get the cargo back to, what's the planet? Skonos, yeah. Trying to get the cargo back to Skonos. Come to find out that there's some deal with the Great Nimon.
From Aneth. They're transporting cargo from Aneth to Skonos.
Right.
Which includes Anethans. That's
right. Yeah, part of the cargo are human beings.
Yellow jump
slaves, bad things.
Even yellow shoes to go through yellow jump shoots.
Yep. And these crystals. What's it called? Not hematite. What's it called?
I wrote it down.
These crystals that are very
Hematocite.
That are radioactive and have a lot of power, but they're encapsulated in these see-through balls that apparently keep the radiation at low levels.
Mm-hmm. So Skonos, we learned, used to be this magnificent battle fleet that would black out the sun.
Empire, yeah.
Been
Empire with 100 systems.
Yeah, something like that. But it's fallen into disrepair over the last 100 years since the last war.
Disarray.
But it's kind of like the fable of the black dragon, who's the big black dragon on the top of the mountain. There's the little town down here, and he demands that they send him sacrifices every year, and they really can't argue, or else he would just wipe them out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what Skonos is doing to Aneth. And saying, hey, send us this metricide and seven of the Anethians, and
or we'll wipe you out. And they are cowed because A, they seem fairly pacifistic, and B, they remember when the
except for Tekka.
Yeah. And B, what's the name of the planet?
Which one?
Not Anathiel.
Skonos?
Yeah, Skonos.
Or Braden.
And B, they remember when the Skonos battle fleets were huge and mighty. And apparently they were amazing, but they fell into a civil war. And the entire society died pretty much except the army. And so all the scientists are dead, most of the people are dead. In fact, we never see a female Skonoth.
You never do. A lot of old ones.
A lot of old men.
It's
and a few young men, but there's no women at all that we see on Skonoth. But apparently, which is a problem in the long run.
Depopulation.
Yeah. But apparently, they cut the great contract with Nimon. And, and so this great contract, they're apparently supposed to receive all this technology and glory and all this stuff. It's a Faustian deal with the devil, which oddly enough, we recently watched Power of the Daleks, in which same scenario, the guy who owned the mansion, right? Mm-hmm. Made the same deal with the Daleks, a very Faustian deal for technology, the capability to turn transmutation, and of course, you give them what they want, and they give you your dreams, but it never works out. Same scenario. We just watched that, so it's very big echoes here. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so the Doctor and Romana and the TARDIS with K9 are being pulled towards the ship because the ship, the co-pilot, who's incredibly cowardly and incredibly impatient, tried to push it past its limits because it's a very old ship. And when he pushes it past its limits, it breaks down and it crashes. And it crashes and falls into this gravity spot. And the TARDIS is being pulled towards that same gravity spot, not because of the ship, because they figure out someone is putting a gravity beam onto that spot, trying to create an artificial black hole.
They speculate it's not a natural black hole. It's too symmetrical, so it must be some sort of gravity tractor beam focused in one location to...
Right, and they just happen to fall into it. So, since they don't have any shields or anything, the doctors are like, well, wait a minute. The door shields are on a separate circuit from the other shields that I disconnected. So he gets the shields and he projects them from the TARDIS's door down to the door of the ship.
Which seems like a very useful boarding technique.
Yeah.
But I guess it's kind of not necessary if you can materialize it inside of the spaceship. So it's the first time we've seen him need
to do that.
An actual...
Right, because he disconnected the regular shields, he disconnected the dematerialization circuit, he disconnected all sorts of stuff trying to play with the TARDIS. Anyway, so they go down the ramp into the other ship. In the meantime, when the ship had crashed, the pilot was killed.
Yes.
And that's the first death we have.
Who was named?
Pilot.
The pilot.
Actually, there's a character called the Pilot later on.
Oh, companion?
No.
Villain?
No.
Okay.
But you think it's a villain for a bit. But...
anti-hero?
No, love interest of a companion.
Oh. So, we haven't met him yet.
Haven't met him.
Soul lead.
Alright, yeah. So...
Is it my turn?
It is. You're playing white, so yeah, it's your turn. Anyway, so they go down to the ship, the Doctor, Romana, and K9, and the Doctor's like, what is this? And he notices the crystals, and Romana correctly points out what they are. And the Doctor's like, okay, K9, we've got a lot of problems on the TARDIS. Why don't you go back up the ramp, go to the TARDIS, and give me a diagnostic of what the problems are. So K9 does that. When in doubt, push a pawn.
Pushing the pawn.
Alright, so... That's an interesting move. Okay. Alright. Check, and we'll continue next week. Yeah, you're not in good shape. Alright. So anyway... K9 goes back, and he and Romana they're in the storage area with the radioactive energy material. And then they go into the next compartment, and there are the 7 young tributes. We're supposed to carry the 7 deals of radioactive material up. And you can tell the tributes are good guys because they're all wearing yellow. And yellow is a friendly color. And you can tell that what's the name of that planet? The bad guy planet.
Craven Empire?
No, the bad guy planet. Not Centaur.
Oh, Skonos.
Skonos. Yeah. You can tell the Skonos are bad guys because they all wear black throughout the entire serial.
Space Nazis, basically.
Yeah. No.
Kind of. I feel like that's a large influence for a lot of...
Okay, the Nazis were so evil, and we've talked about this before.
Yeah, they kind of inspired.
If you
now all villains wear black and the skulls and the space Nazis. That's who they're fighting.
No, the other good villains are the communists, the Russians, which we get to later. But anyway, no, not necessarily.
It's more like
a
Cold War era.
Yeah, not necessarily Doctor Who. I'm thinking more of the Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Or what was it? Red Dawn?
Yes, I love that. Anyway, today I watched our episode 105 talking about the City of Death. And it literally came up in that episode that the Doctor had a sonic screwdriver, but Romana seemed to have a sonic screwdriver. So, and I'm like, it doesn't seem to come up again. And then in tonight's episode, Romana shows up with her own sonic screwdriver. She's like, oh, he's like, you can use this. She's like, no, I've got one of my own. He's like, oh. And so it actually realistically came up again. So call back to 3 episodes ago.
Immediately sets it down in the room and walks out and it's locked away.
Yeah. So,
it's like a Jedi's lightsaber. You can't just leave it lying around.
Yeah. She had this idiot co-pilot. Now the pilot's dead. And he's the one who got the pilot killed because he was trying to do stuff way too fast because he's a coward, a liar, and an idiot.
He's pushing this failing spaceship, aged, unrepaired spaceship, to
way
try to do a
fast.
12-hour journey in 6 hours.
And the computer couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
Much like Southwest Airlines recently.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Topical.
If you've been a Christmas traveler this Christmas on Southwest, you know what I'm talking about. All right. So anyway, the Doctor and Romana get taken by the co-pilot into, and the Doctor convinces them, hey, we want out of here too. We don't like the fact that we're stuck in this gravity well too, and it's getting heavier. And so the Doctor goes and gets, what is it, the gravitational what?
A Pokeball.
It looks like a Pokeball, but no, it's a gravitational
something or other. Majiki, what's it? Who's in what's it?
Yeah, no, it's
what you call it?
It's a gravitational augmenter or stabilizer or something. And so he goes and gets that from the TARDIS because it's still working, although most of the rest of the TARDIS is not working.
Yeah. He didn't want to go down to the hardware store, so it just takes it from the TARDIS.
And he uses it to fix the gravity of the ship so that it's not affected by the black hole.
He also uses 2 of the Hemetricide capsules to power the spaceship.
Crystals, yeah. So they apparently there's a large, weird, 2 different types of technology and a big gap on the ship, and they use the Hemetricide. Romana's idea. Use the Hemetricide to fuel the ship. It's the only way it's going to be able to break away from the event horizon of the black hole.
Yes.
But he tells the pilot, "Don't leave, until I tell you." But the pilot is an idiot, coward, fool. And the Doctor's back on the TARDIS because he's trying to get the TARDIS into the hold of the ship before the ship leaves. The guy leaves.
Just leaves without him.
Yeah, just leaves. He realizes, hey, I've got power. I can turn on the lights. I can turn on the shields, and they go. And the Doctor's like, holy crap, I'm being left behind. And Romana storms onto the flight deck, and she's like, hey, you're leaving him behind.
Very upset.
Yeah, very upset. And he's like, he's got his gun. He's like, I will shoot you. The entire time, he's being an idiot without any curiosity. Even when the Dr. and Romana are trying to help him, he's got them at gunpoint. And he just keeps asking, can you fix it? Can you fix it? Can you fix it? And the Doctor's like, isn't it amazing how when people point guns at you that their intellectual curiosity decreases by that much?
Start waving a pistol around.
Yeah, start waving a pistol around. So the Doctor gets left behind, and he's sitting there with K9, and there's an asteroid coming at him now that they're in the gravitational pull.
Not just an asteroid.
Yeah, turns out it's the size of a planet. With 97 kilometers in diameter. That's a very small planet.
20 million tons.
Yes.
Traveling at 9.3 Mach speed towards the black hole, which they're sitting.
Right. So it's going to hit them, and they don't have any shields, and they're going to die. End of episode 1. Listen, this is a very simple serial, all told.
Very straightforward.
Very straightforward.
The Doctor pins a first prize ribbon on K9.
Yeah, you're the best dog I've ever had.
Which means he just carries that around with him like his post-it note stars.
Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of just like Batman's utility belt. We also learned that he covers not just one bag, but 2 bags of jelly babies.
Well, he may have grabbed more when he went to the tour. Yeah. Wait, what's the other planet? The second planet, Adenis or whatever.
Aneth.
Aneth. The Aneth the people from Aneth, these 7 kids, and they're
Yeah,
kids. They're tributes in the same way you get
adults.
the tributes from Hunger Games.
Oh,
Yeah, just young kids.
the age where you get thrown into a volcano.
Yeah, they're like 16, but they're all really young, really 70s-ish. The one boy has like really long hair.
One looks like Pippin or Mary, one of the hobbits with the curly hair.
Seth. That's Seth, yeah.
No, not Seth.
Oh, a different one?
Yeah. Different one. Look just like a hobbit.
But they're all incredibly young and reasonably attractive. Like you would throw into the volcano to keep it from,
to
erupting. Appease the fire gods. Anyway, one of them is Seth, and one of them is Tika.
Who's very enamored by...
Oh, she loves Seth.
Yeah. So apparently they call Seth the Prince of the Anithians.
Right.
Which was really just a kind of story he made up once he ran into some trouble and then he got shipped off as a sacrifice.
You find out in episode 2, he was just on his own, an orphan somewhere, and the Anithians ran into, I guess it's the planet, but there are different groups on the planet. He claimed to be a prince, so they decided they were going to send him to go kill the Nimon, so they weren't going to keep, harvesting the people of Aneth. And he's like, I didn't want to do this. I told a lie. I got caught up in the lie, and
so
he's telling Romana this, like 1.5 feet away from everyone else.
They're sitting right in the middle of the stage direction.
Oh my god.
This whole serial is just like bad guys and guys Scooby-Dooing around corners.
Well, there's like 6 sets in this whole serial. Yeah. You've got the one ship, the TARDIS. You have, that's 2. You have the main room on
the landing pad.
Sokoth or whatever.
Skonos.
I don't know, I can't remember. Yeah, the main room on Skonos, a little side room with it, right? Mm-hmm. The one where the Senate meets or whatever.
The labyrinth.
You have the labyrinth and the laboratory, and you have that small set on Corinth or whatever the name of the other planet was.
Craven?
Yeah, Coven or Craven or whatever.
Yeah.
So you got like 6 sets of this, and they're, it's not a big production. It's a fairly small production, and even the special effects are really basic.
Yeah, laser beams, the usual.
Well,
sci-fi.
and the deal where they go through the portal to go in that other deal is just a screen, a green screen that they kind of put over with whatever effect.
Mm-hmm.
And
it works.
It doesn't always work. Sometimes you see the legs of like the guy that goes in and just shows the leg
behind the curtain and his feet are still sticking
out.
I thought the worst part was the costume of the Nimon. Nimon. Boy, was it awful.
It was pretty bad.
Not only was their costume awful, their stage direction was terrible too, where the director told them to waddle around like that.
Look at bodybuilders. I can't put my arms down.
Yeah, to pretend like you're bigger than you actually are. Because their head was huge, and the rest was just like a jumpsuit.
And Soldeed.
Soldeed.
So there's this guy Soldeed who's the last scientist on the planet, and apparently he's the guy that talks to the Nimon, and he is the guy. Everyone listens to him because he's supposedly going to bring their civilization back from the brink because of the deal with the Nimon.
He's kind of like Davos, where he's the lead... Davros, the lead scientist engineer of these people. He was... he made first contact with the Nimons. He set up the deal for their technology and where they would conquer a second empire of So he's in charge.
Yeah, he's in charge. And he overacts. He's like... much like the guy in the pirate planet, right? He's like, we will defeat them, and he's big eyes, a big mouth, and he turns and
facial expressions all over the place.
It's such overacting. It's like levels of the Room of overacting. It's hilarious.
If his lead captain came in. Sorak and told him that he burnt his toast for his lunch, you go, no! Just, no matter what you told him, it's just like the most dramatic reaction you could possibly give.
Great. I love it. I love it. It's one of the things I love about this. He chews the scenery in the worst possible way, and it's just fantastic.
It's fun.
It's like a great bad movie. Like I said, like The Room. It's like, no. And we, for the second Sarek Empire.
It's a lot better than The Room.
Yeah. Anyway, the guy's great. I can't remember the name of the actor, but he is fantastic. Fantastically bad, good, fantastic.
Yes, agreed.
All right.
So we're on the TARDIS.
Yeah, episode
he
2.
The ribbon on K9's ear.
Yeah.
And then he says...
And then K9's like, oh, there's 58 seconds left, and, before it hits us.
I hope you're ready to feel what it's like to be a cricket ball.
And then he goes, cricket ball?
Light bulb.
Bing. So he goes, and he sets in 58 seconds, a really, really basic, weird spin to the TARDIS with just a modicum of a shield, and this weird spin to the TARDIS. So when the planet comes and hits, because of the spin, English, right? The term English for pool?
Yeah.
Okay,
put some English on it.
Put English on it? Right. So not English in terms of the people of the language, but in terms of the spin. Mm-hmm. So the planet hits, boom, and it thrusts him out of the gravitational pull.
Like a weed whacker. He builds up enough momentum to where it deflects off.
Yeah. Which is really kind of cool, actually. And it was one of those, 1,000,000 odds things, but he manages to do it.
Just like every episode.
Well, a little more now, because
the
TARDIS was half, or if not more, deconstructed.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so the Doctor manages to get the TARDIS to... What's the name of the planet? Skonos. What can I
think of scones.
Yeah, there you go, scones. Your whole... Yeah, there you go.
Mnemonic device.
Mnemonic, that's the word. I gotta remember mnemonic.
Think of mnemonic device for mnemonic device.
Anyway, so the Doctor gets the TARDIS
P, I think.
to Skonos.
Mnemonic. Like pterodactyl.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Johnny Mnemonic?
No.
Keanu Reeves?
I've seen... is that a movie he did?
I think that's the name of the movie.
No, I haven't. I don't watch a whole lot of Keanu Reeves. I know he's really popular. I just don't think he's a good actor. He was great in Bill and Ted. He was pretty good in The Matrix, but that's about it. Like, he has one character. He's like Tom Cruise. He just plays the same person in every movie. It's really flat.
Okay. There are exceptions, everybody, on that. For Tom Cruise, you've seen Tropic Thunder, right?
Yeah, no, Tom Cruise can play other characters. He just doesn't. Like Keanu Reeves can play his character from Bill and Ted's Adventures, like the stoner bro dude, but he doesn't. He just plays the same Keanu Reeves.
Have you seen John Wick?
Yes, he plays Keanu Reeves in John Wick. John Wick is Keanu Reeves. He just like the way he talks and acts. It's not a character.
Okay, I can't argue that.
That's just him in every movie.
But no, I'm just trying to think of other
like
movies
Speed.
where he's playing something that is not specifically Keanu Reeves. But Bill and Ted is good for that.
That's the one.
Hold on.
The Matrix, there's a little bit of variation, but movies like Speed, John Wick, it's just all the same character. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not good.
Now, have you seen him in Much Ado About Nothing?
See, no, I haven't. No. I saw him in the vampire movie.
Yeah.
He did a vampire movie. I don't watch a lot of
Okay, hold on. You're talking about...
I think he's a great dude. I just don't like him as an actor.
Okay, hold on. You're talking about Bram Stoker's Dracula, right?
Probably.
Okay.
Didn't he do that with Tom Cruise? Both vampires? No, that Tom Cruise did the one with... I'm getting all my vampire movies confused.
Okay, Bram Stoker's Dracula. And for Tom Cruise, you're probably talking about...
Didn't he have Brad Pitt in that one with him?
Yes, and they were
very
both
pale,
vampires.
was it Keira Knightley?
No. A really, 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 really young, like little girl young.
14, 16.
No, 5.
No.
Yeah, little girl young. What's her face from Spider-Man? And Melancholia.
Mary Jane Watson.
No. The actress's name.
I don't know.
Okay. Oh my gosh, what is her name?
She was in her teens though. That was the whole plot. When she was upset.
She was a kid.
She was upset that she was going to be that age forever.
Correct.
But it was really perverted because she hadn't lost her virginity.
Yeah, she was a little kid.
No, she was in her teens. But she fell in love with either Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise. But because she was frozen in time as an immortal at that age, every time she lost her virginity, she would wake up with it back again. Like her. It was really gross. And Tom Cruise was really into that because his vampire character was a pervert. And then there's also a movie where Keanu Reeves is a vampire. It's also bad. I don't like the John Wick movies. They're just so bland.
Which movie is Keanu Reeves a vampire?
Huh?
In which movie is Keanu Reeves a vampire?
I guess the Bram Stoker one.
No, he's not a vampire in that one.
Oh, he's not?
No,
he's a vampire in one of them.
He's the love of the... He's the main protagonist.
This is why we need a tablet in here for Wikipedia. Because we sit here
for
for
more fun
5
trying
minutes.
to figure out. Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst,
the
yes.
little girl.
She's like
and
16.
She's not 16 in that movie.
Yeah. 14 at least.
Okay.
But there's the whole awkward sexual thing of like a kid coming to age, but then she gets stuck right before she's of age.
Okay.
It's weird.
First of all, back in the day, 16 was of age, and even 14 was
back
age.
then? When did this movie come out?
No. Back in the day, it's set.
Oh, the Victorian.
Okay. Right. Second of all, what do you want to bet that Kirsten Dunst was not 16 in that movie?
I'd say 14 at least. Definitely not 5.
No. Okay, we'll split it. 15. What do you want to wager that Kirsten Dunst was not 15 years old when that movie was made?
I would bet she's no less than 14 in that movie.
Hey, you're saying she's at least 14.
At least 14 or 16.
I'm saying she's younger than 14. What do you want to wager?
A handle? What do we always bet?
Yeah, usually a handle.
You'll play Terraforming Mars tonight? Here we go. If you win, we play your game, whatever game you want to play. If I win, we play whatever game I want to play. Doesn't have to be tonight, but just to try. You'll try a game I want you to try. And if you win, I'll try a game you want. Or if you win, whatever. If I win, you have to try a game that I want you to try. Doesn't have to be tonight. I don't even know what game I want you to try yet. I'm going to get you to branch out and try a new game.
Alright. You say she's 14 or older, I say she's 13 or younger.
Yes.
Alright, cool. My life yelled off screen, she's 11.
Why would they put that plot line in the movie with an 11-year-old actress? It's so weird.
She's 5.
Oh my gosh.
I told you.
Did you read the book?
No. Interview with the Vampire. That's it. Interview with the Vampire.
So they aged her up for the movie so they could throw in that weird plot line about her?
No, they aged her up for the movie because you can't get a 5-year-old to give the performance she did.
Well, I'm assuming the book didn't have the sexual subplot.
Dude, no, it's vampires in New Orleans. There's a whole sexual subplot.
This movie keeps getting worse and worse. We didn't even decide what I would do. What do I have to do?
I just won. Alright. Okay. Anyway.
I owe you something.
I'll take that handle. Alright.
11. Okay.
Dude, she's young in that. Alright. Anyway.
Why is there a sexual subplot with an 11-year-old actress?
Hey, what part of New Orleans and vampire do you... Okay.
You ever watch The Professional? That was weird too. It had, she was actually young, 9.
Yeah, I know.
You know The Professional. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
That one was Keira Knightley.
You know what the age of consent in France is?
I don't want to know, do I? 13?
Hey. Huh?
13. Really?
14.
Too young.
Okay. You know when that was instituted?
1800s?
No, that was instituted
Recently?
like 8 years ago. You know what the age
The
of consent? Yeah, 14. You know what the age of consent was before that?
They expect like a 14-year-old to get pregnant and raise a child. Like what?
That was very common for millennia.
It's not anymore.
Not in the U.S., but in other countries.
In France, there are
you know what the age of
14-year-old mothers walking around.
You know what the age of consent was before that in France?
There wasn't one, was there?
Correct. There wasn't one. Only in the last 8-10 years do they have any age of consent at all.
You're getting real libertarian on me.
No, I'm just telling you facts. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just telling you facts.
We'll talk about this later.
No, I mean, no, but that's a fact. In the United Kingdom, I think it's still 15.
In Texas, it's younger than the average.
I think it's 17.
Yeah, I think the average is 18 in America.
No, there's a lot of states, the New England states that have a lot of averages that are 14 or 15.
In the Midwest?
No, New England.
Oh,
Because that's what it was when they were not territories, when they were British colonies, and they still have the same age.
where? You're talking about Canada?
New England,
Okay.
the states in our northeast, Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
New York, Maine, Massachusetts,
So
Connecticut.
that's like 14?
A lot of them have really low ages. New Mexico, oddly enough, I think is 14 or 15.
New Mexico.
New Mexico, yeah. But no. The average age is probably 16.
Isn't that
or
caveated
17,
by?
yeah.
There's also an age of separation. Like the youngest it can be is 14, but only if they're only 2 years apart. So it'd be 14 and 16.
Not in most states, no.
Okay.
In Texas, the age of consent is 17. But there's the Romeo and Juliet law,
That's the one I'm thinking.
which says if she's 15 and you're 18, if there's 3 years of difference, well, if you're within 3 years, it's okay.
Wait,
2 or 3 years.
I think it's 2.
So you can break the age of consent if the age gap is 2 or 3 years.
It's such an awkward
It is.
problem
It is.
to tackle.
It is. But
In terms
we
of
get on that
legislation.
because Kirsten Dunst was friggin' 11 in
It's
the movie.
a weird plot line.
Agreed. It's a weird movie.
Okay, apparently I lost the bet. I can see it.
All right. So anyway,
Professional is also a weird movie.
huh? Is that still a weird movie?
The Professional.
Yeah.
Keira Knightley? 9-year-old, 8-year-old Keira Knightley.
Another weird movie in that regard is what's the name of it?
There's a lot of stuff like that that used to go on in the early 2000s Disney Channel. Like iCarly, she's like 13, and they had this scene where she was kissing some 19-year-old actor, and her parents had to be on set. But you just imagine the script writers that go down and write the script, and then the casting crew, they go like, well, these people kiss, let's hire her, let's hire this guy.
Well, they try to make him look more or less same. But no, Let the Right One In.
Let the right one in?
Yeah.
No. Is it a
Okay.
scary movie?
It's another vampire movie.
It's
And
always the vampires.
It's about a young female vampire who basically she gets a boy to fall in love with her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the boys won't do anything for her. She's like 16, and the boy's gonna be about the same age, or 14. Actually, I think they look like 14, right?
Mm-hmm.
Boys gonna be about the same age. And then she gets that boy. She doesn't age, but the boy does into a man. And then she acts like the boy, the man's her father. Eventually, when the man gets too old, she finds another boy to fall in love with her, and does the exact same cycle over again, where she keeps existing, and she just uses the boys and the men as it goes along. But the
I guess that
movie's
would
phenomenal.
be the reality of being a vampire, but let's say that you remember when you're 16, you're a 16-year-old man.
Mhm.
Let's say you got turned into a vampire. 1,000 years later, you still look 16.
Mhm.
Does your maturity go beyond 16, or is You learn stuff.
It should, but according to the Twilight movies, it doesn't.
Right, so like exactly Twilight, he's like been 17 for 1,000 years. He's dating 16-year-old Bella.
And
how can they even relate on an
yeah, on any level, yeah. But somehow this plain Jane suddenly captures his heart when no woman in the last 100 years ever has, or some crap.
I don't know
like
if
that.
you've ever spoken to a 16-year-old girl in high school. But Romeo and Juliet is such nonsense.
How doth I love you? Lest me count the
If
ways.
they're not the same age.
No, most of that
this
stuff is just crap.
1,000-year-old vampire. He's like, you know what? She's a cool person. She's mature and smart. No, she's not. She's 16.
Alright, so... Okay. So, back to the episode 2.
That's train wreck.
Alright, so Soul Deed, who's overacting like you wouldn't believe. Okay, anyway, he goes talks to Nimon. You found that Nimon's basically a minotaur, which a really bad costume, leotard, some weird horns, and a big looking like paper mache head. Like I said, not the greatest bad guy in Doctor Who. And neither is Soul Deed. Anyway, so the Nimon is demanding the tributes. The tributes show up because the guy, the co-pilot who took off with the ship, he has 5 of the crystals, not 7, because they need 2 to power the ship, but he has all 7 of the good guys in their yellow, the Andins or whatever, Ardens. And Romana's there. She was on the ship. And Soul Deed's like, who is this woman? Romana's like, well, who are you? And Soul Deed's like, how dare you talk to me that way? And Romana's like, I'll talk to you however I want. And they go back and forth. Finally, sorry, can I look at the chess game? Finally, like, Soul Deed's like, okay. Romana's like, yeah, I fixed the ship. That's how we got here. The co-pilot tries to claim that he fixed the ship. And Soul Deed asks him a couple questions. And he says, yeah, you wouldn't have had the intelligence or the wherewithal to fix a ship and adapt the crystals in 1,000,000 years. And so he says, yeah, you probably wrecked the ship actually doing exactly what he did, which was try and push it too fast. And so Soul Deed's like, you know what? The penalty for this is death, and he pushes him into the labyrinth. Turns out it's actually a labyrinth for the Minotaurs, like the 3rd or, the 2nd of, I don't know how many times they explore the Minotaur and the Labyrinth scenario in Doctor Who. Another time comes with Matt Smith, the 11th Doctor. Anyway, so he gets sent to the Labyrinth, and he's wandering around, and Romana and the tributes get sent to the Labyrinth, and they're going through, and they're like, well, we're in the Labyrinth, and it's like, well, we'll find the Nimon. If not, the Nimon will find us. And eventually, they run into a body that's decomposed, and Romana's like, ooh, looks like the Nimon live off of extracting all of the binding energy of organic things. And they run into some people. Come on in.
I didn't realize you had company.
What are you talking about?
Oh, hello there.
Alright, so they run into some people in suspended animation, and Romana's like, this is probably the larder.
Reminds me of the Cybermen in that one episode where they break out of their tomb.
Tomb of the Cybermen, yeah.
Kind of held in stasis for a snack for later.
Yeah. And it's like, hey, like this must be the larder. So apparently, these tributes have been coming in, and it's a combination of the energy crystals and the people. The people, the Ardens, are feeding the Nimon, and the energy crystals are feeding his power plant.
Machination.
Right, machination is power plant.
They consume living tissue as their source of food.
Well, the bindings of organic tissue, yeah.
Laminin, I think that's called.
No, I think it's more of the way that the molecules hold themselves together.
So you eat the molecules?
Well, no. The energy between the bindings of the molecules. But I could be wrong. All right.
I don't know.
It's not fully explained. It's science fiction / fantasy.
Someone. Yeah, this one seemed like very sci-fi fantasy with the Minotaur and the maze. And it's like a fantasy story transformed for a sci-fi purpose.
Well, it's actually mentioned later on. With the ships and the Agamemnon and Odysseus and all that. Briefly mentioned at the very end, the Doctor had done something like this before, and he alludes to Odysseus and all that.
So there's someone that commented a year or two ago that I shouldn't wear my hat backwards on the podcast.
Yeah, it was in the comments section.
It looks unprofessional.
Yeah. And?
Has he seen this podcast? What?
Well, we're doing this podcast.
What
right
about
now.
this podcast is professional?
Nothing.
Anyway, I think of that every time I wear a hat on the podcast.
There's nothing professional about this podcast.
He said it made me look bad, and I think I said some not so nice things to him.
You're watching this podcast, you're bored as hell. All right. Anyway,
maybe you're just talking to us in the future.
So the co-pilot who got put into the labyrinth, Ramon had mentioned the Doctor. Soldy's like, I have no clue what you're talking about.
Episode 3?
No, episode 2. He thrust them into the labyrinth. Well, if we don't get off topic, thrust them in the labyrinth. Anyway, so they're wandering around the 7 tributes and Romana, and the co-pilot's like, oh yeah, I've still got my gun. And he goes, okay, all of y'all over here. And he's like, Nimon! You know, he calls out to the Nimon, and the Nimon comes in, who dares summon me? And he's like, I do. And he gets all scared. He had a plan before, but now he gets all cowardly. And he's like, yeah, I brought the tributes to you. And the Nimon's like, I need no one to bring the tributes to me. And he's like, well, Soldy told me. No, Soldy wouldn't have told you. He said, but I brought him all the way from Arden. He's like, no, you're a coward and a liar. And
Soldy did not send you in here to transport the sacrifices. He sent you here to be executed.
And
but he shoots him first. And then he asks for mercy after.
the co-pilot shoots at him with his gun, which has no effect on the Nimon. And the Nimon lowers his head, and his yellow horns shoot out a ray which kills the co-pilot. Our second death in as many episodes. End of episode 3.
What was it?
Yeah, and episode 3 has, this is where they start the padding. Episode 3 has that long recap, right? It's a good long
Yeah, we get to
recap.
watch him die twice, which is very satisfying, because he's a Hun.
Yeah, he's a horrible. Alright, so then the Doctor eventually shows up.
Kreenoth was the name of the Nimon planet. Or the previous
No, the previous planet.
that they're inhabiting.
Yeah, so the Doctor shows up. He finally gets his TARDIS over, and he says, "Oh, we'll show up somewhere near this dome power plant thing, because it had a shield on it."
Yeah.
So he says, "We'll show up somewhere inconspicuous," and he shows up at the exact center of their main forum. That's a good word, forum. He shows up there. And he comes out, and people are pointing guns at him. He's like, why is it everywhere I go in the universe, people are pointing guns at me, you know? So then he's like, fine, take me to your leader. And they do. They take him to, what's his name? Soldeed.
And Sorak.
Soldeed.
Sorak's like the captain of the guard.
Yeah, he's really cool.
He has no peripheral vision.
Yeah, their helmets are like this. And they've got the plumes on it and stuff, and they kind of look like ravens, you know? Their outfits are very black, and they got the black plumes. Anyway, so he goes to Soldeed, And Soldeed's like, hey, the doctor's like, ooh, this is, I forget what he called it.
Some sort of converter.
Yeah, something converter. The guy's like, what are you talking about? This is my own invention. He's like, oh, you don't even know what this is, but you invented it. Oh, okay. And then Soldeed, in his modicum of not insanity, is like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's kind of a scientist. And the doctor's like, hey, have you seen a woman? He said, yeah, I fixed your ship with the help of my friend, a woman, blonde, about yay tall. Well, actually, for him, he's like yay tall. And he's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And the guy comes in and says, hey, all the tributes and yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. And he has the gravitational thing. And the doctor's like, the what? Grabs it. And he's like, this is my gravitational accusizer. And you said you didn't know anything about that with the ship. You lie. And Soldeed's like, no, doctor. And he shoots the doctor with this great big staff he has with these prongs.
A little crystal embedded.
Yeah, but the gravitational thing deflects it, and the doctor runs.
Which is weird. I've never seen that before.
The doctor always runs. What are you talking about?
No, I mean like the deflection.
What was the gravitational bit? Yeah, which was really cool. And the doctor
uses it again that episode.
The doctor runs and runs, and he ends up in the forum, and right next to it is a Senate chamber where we've seen some 12 really old Senate guys talking.
Soldeed's laboratory, Senate chamber.
Forum. No. His laboratory
into the forum,
and then there's hallways into the forum, and then off the forum is a Senate chamber.
Then he runs into the Senate chamber asking for the exit.
The forum and the Senate chamber. He's going, yes. As much as I hate public speaking, I really like to know what the exit is. And he goes up and he starts talking to some guys, for the senators.
You ever play Assassin's Creed, where you blend in with a group of people?
No.
The crowd? That's kind of what he does there.
It's a very Groucho Marx move. Yeah, really fantastic. Or, to be fair, maybe a little more of a Harpo move. But he does that, and then he gets away, and then he gets caught up to by Soldeed. And Soldeed is like, I'm going to put you, and you've got to go into... And then the doctor kind of just jumps himself into the labyrinth.
The curtain?
Yeah, it's just a weird curtain green screen thing, and it looks really weird. And it doesn't always work.
And they never look behind them immediately after entering?
Yeah.
Because none of them remember that it looks like a wall from the inside. It just runs through.
Well, later on. So the doctor goes in there, and he looks around, and he's trying to find his way through, and he realizes that the walls are shifting because he uses stars that he puts on the walls, but the stars are gone. Little cellophane
He carries
stars.
around little green sticky stars. Just like he carries around his first prize.
And jelly babies.
And two bags of jelly babies.
And a yo-yo and whatever else he needs.
And a recorder.
So he finally ends up finding Romana and the tributes. What are you looking at?
The poster.
Oh, okay. No, I mean, what's specifically on the poster?
I don't know.
Alright.
He's not holding anything.
No, he ends up...
This is a recorder. Trump does, but he's just...
Yeah.
I guess that's the...
Yeah. So Troutman is a recorder, right?
Yes.
Yeah. There's no doctor specifically associated with an instrument after that, like the recorder, until Capaldi.
Capaldi has an instrument?
Guitar. An electric guitar.
Oh.
Which he plays in several
Does he
episodes.
carry that around in his jacket pocket?
No. But in several episodes, he actually plays it.
Does he play that? Celery stick?
No, how the hell do you play a celery stick?
I don't know. Why does he have it pinned to his lapel?
Alright. Because in his first serial, he picks up a celery stick and he pins it to his lapel.
Is this
we'll
the
be there
same
in a few
collared
weeks.
shirt that each of them are wearing? Do they keep the same collared shirt with the question marks on the lapel?
In that case, yes. Alright. So the doctor... Oh my God.
I'd love to sit down.
This episode's so much longer than it
Love
needs
to sit
be.
down and have a conversation with the set designer and costume designer.
Alright.
Must have been on some acid when they were designing.
Alright, so the Doctor ends up finding Romana in the tributes, and he gets the Minotaur to follow him, because he's waving a red scarf like the Minotaur's a
Oh.
pearl. Yeah.
And for some reason that works.
It's so silly. The Minotaur ends up chasing him. The Minotaur's too slow. The Doctor gets Romana and 2 of the tributes. The 2 with names and speaking parts and not holding the crystals to go with him. The 5 without speaking parts who are holding crystals stay because they're cowed and afraid. But Doctor, Romana, and those 2 run away. They get away. They get to another part of the labyrinth. They figure out it's a moving positronic circuit.
Yeah. That's why the labyrinth corridors shift and change and
The corridors, yeah.
little on-off circuits.
So eventually they get to this room where the Doctor and Romana are like, this is a giant transmat. But it's also the source of the power going to create the black hole. And Doctor's like, well, there's got to be another black hole on the other side of it somewhere. And we got to figure out, but there's not a platform to transmat. And then the Nimon comes in, and the Nimon comes in, and the Doctor, Romana, and Seth and Tika are all hiding behind big computer banks. And as the Nimon walks around, they're like looking around the computer banks and they're hiding. And eventually,
He walks up behind the Nimon and is staring at the control panels while he's putting inputs.
right,
And then Romana too walks up behind it, about they're 2 feet away from, and she goes, "What are you looking at?" And he's like, "I'm trying to see."
I'm trying to see what he's doing. Do you know what he's doing? I don't know what he's doing.
Demons have very bad hearing. And of course, he takes about
Apparently
90 seconds to turn
peripheral
around.
vision. Yeah.
So they have plenty of time to run back behind the computer when he starts to pivot.
So the Nimon flips this big switch, and it is actually a transmat. And now that he has enough power, because he got the tributes, put the crystals in, he put the tributes in the larder. And this egg-shaped, it looks kind of like the Suntaran ship in the original Suntaran episode. Oh no, the later Suntaran episode.
Oh yeah, the little egg.
Yeah, little egg ship. Mork from Mork kind of ship. Anyway, it shows up, and 2 more Nimons come out of it. And the Doctor's like, well, crap, there's more of them now. So the Nimons run off, and the Doctor's trying to figure out how to fix stuff. In the meantime, Soldeed shows up, and Soldeed's cheat has slipped off his cracker.
Oh yeah.
He shoots.
He shoots the pewter.
Yeah. Oh no. First, Romana's trying to figure out everything about the transport capsule, and she's in it, and the Doctor sends it away, and she's gone. So they're like, oh, okay, I gotta fix this. Soldeed shows up, and the Doctor's trying to bring Romana back, and in the meantime, Soldeed shoots at the computer, and one of the main banks, and it explodes.
It took me several minutes to read that, to decipher my note. It just says Soldeed shoots pewter. I thought it said Putin, because my R's look a lot like N's. So where did Rasputin come from? Soldeed does look a lot like Rasputin. Like very Rasputin-esque character with the big beard.
Rah, Rasputin, love her,
eccentric.
Yeah, he's gone. He is so gone. Anyway, so he ends up shooting that, and then he's like, aha, Doctor. Doctor's like, wait, I can explain everything. He's like, no, you have interfered in everything, and you will die. End of episode 3.
Shoots the computer.
Well, no, it's after that. And Doctor's like, Romana, because he realized she's stuck over there.
Shoots the pewter.
Shoots the pewter.
End of episode 3. Episode 4 is the most frustrating episode.
Why?
I could get over the horrible costume design
Of the...
and the stage direction and the absurd overacting. But the Doctor's just so stupid in the 4th episode. He tells Romana to get into the egg capsule. And
Didn't tell her to get into it. He just says he wants to know everything about the capsule.
which includes the interior, and he hands her a spoon. So she's inspecting the interior of it, and then he teleports the capsule.
Well, that was
It's
episode 3.
where'd she
Yeah.
go?
Okay, and she went to planet what? Copton?
Kreenoth.
Kreenoth. So she's on this other planet, and she gets out the capsule, and
How do you do that by accident? He just teleports her away.
and she run. Well, he didn't know she was in it, and she runs into a bunch of Nimon.
Of course he was. He told her to go inspect every inch of it.
No, he says he wanted to know everything about it.
How could he not
inferred that? Yeah.
assume to get inside of it?
So she's on this planet, Corinth. What?
Kreenoth.
Kornoth. She's on planet Kornoth. She runs into a guy who looks like vaguely an older version of Soldeed.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I brought them here, the Nimon, and we were offered peace and prosperity. It seems like a small price to pay. And
She runs across 2 Nimons, and he stuns them with his staff. And she says, and he goes, oh, my life is fading, I'm old and weak. And she says, here, sit down. And he goes, oh, you're so kind. And she said, well, you did just save my life. And he's like, but I've cost the lives of many
of
others.
everyone on this planet.
Yeah, basically doomed the entire planet because he did the exact same thing that
Soldeed is doing, yeah.
Where they said, hey, we'll give you all sorts of technology if you give us sacrifices and build us.
Faustian bargain.
And he has the exact same staff as Soldeed does, except he put in
A crystal of Jaganite.
Jaganite.
Yeah, and apparently the Jaganite, the staff itself is not
Effective.
harmful or effective against the Nimons, but if you put the Jaganite in it, it amplifies the beam so that it doesn't kill them, but it stuns them. And so he's got an extra piece of Jaganite on him that's about the size of my fist.
He's been doing studies on it.
He's been doing studies on it. He gives it to Ramon. He says, can I have that? He says, yeah, of course. And she's like, well, can you get me back to the capsule? He's like, sure, why? And she's like, well, I need to warn the planet, Socorro?
Skronos. Scrotum.
Yeah. So I need to warn this planet because I've seen this playing out elsewhere. So he helps her get to the capsule, and he dies in the process. And he dies firing, keeping the Nimon away.
Meanwhile, on Skonos, the Doctor is trying to teleport Romana back. So
Yeah.
he flips the switch again and it says, welcome back, opens the door, and there's 2 more Nimons.
So he shuts it, sends it back. They get out, and this is before she tries to get the capsule.
Just the tomfoolery that Baker's doing.
No, it's on Bakery.
The Tom Bakery that the Doctor's doing. It's so silly.
It's a lot of fun. A lot of Scooby-Doo and Marx Brothers in this serial.
Doctor Who's a lot like the Batman character, where it's supposed to, on paper, he's one sort of character, but the writers write him in a totally different way that goes against his character
Sometimes.
arc. Yeah. This was not the Doctor in this serial. This was somebody else.
No.
This was,
So the Doctor.
this was someone
It is so Tom Baker.
incapable of doing anything.
Balderdash. Anyway, so
It's like when people write for Batman, you're like, oh, Batman, he's so cool. He's super intellectual, genius detective. He'd throw a gas grenade in a frost mine, and then you watch it and he gets punched in the face. You're like, who's writing this?
So anyway, in the meantime, the Doctor's trying to fix what Soldeed had messed up, and he's using his gravitational thing to do it, and he's jury rigging everything, and they're trying to get K9 there because with the dog whistle, and K9's working his way through the maze. Eventually, K9 shows up, and Dart's like, "Hey, can you fix this?" First of all, he gets Romana back. after the Nimons show up, and they're like, "You move away, kill him, but don't kill him yet, because we have to ask about him and where he's from and what he's doing here. But we need to bring the capsule back." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." He whispered that to himself, "Thank you." Yeah. And Romana comes out, and she goes, "Help?" She literally says, "Help?" Because she sees the several Nimons.
I can't imagine how confused the Nimons are, where they're like,
or Romana is at that point.
The Nimons are like, all right, we're going to transport over
some more Nimons.
We got transferred over. Some human opens the door, closes it. Then we open the door ourselves. We're back on our other planet. And then we finally get back to our new planet. We port over some other Nimons, but it's another human that steps out. Like, what is happening?
What's going on? So anyway, you've got 3 Nimons on Sakarath, or whatever the planet is. Skronos. Okay, Seth runs in, and he's got the staff of Soldeed. You really need to update this.
I do?
No.
It's not readable?
No, it's Nimon and Soldeed. Alright, so he runs to the staff of Soldeed. Romana throws him the Jaggerite.
It is awfully crooked.
He puts the Jagger. She says stuff in the deal. He does, and he shoots the Nimon, and they're stunned. So good. So Soldeed comes in, and the Nimon are stunned, and they stun him.
Yes. Okay,
so while he's stunned, they're working on things. He gets up and walks out behind them. Great Scooby-Doo moment. And he ends up in the nuclear room with the larder. And
there's another set.
Huh?
That's one other set.
It's all the same. But he pulls down the levers on everything and jams them, so it's all going to explode. Because his mind is gone. He's
confronted by Romana too. She tells him, "Hey, I talked to this Sesam guy on
the past planet."
Yeah. And the Nimons are doing the exact same thing to you. And he's like, "There's only one Nimon." She's like, "How many have you seen?" He's like, "There's only one." She's like, "You've seen more." He's like, "There's 3 of them."
I've seen 3.
She's like, "Face it, you're being invaded," and then he just loses it. All his
don't you blaspheme the Nimon?
Yeah, all his plans of domination and starting
his mind's collapsing, and he blames her, even though she's just pointing out the truth. So he goes and he pulls the levers, and the whole place is set to explode.
Right when
they're getting the people out of the larder.
He dies.
The tribute.
He gets shot by.
Yeah, he does.
A Nimon or
no,
someone shoots him.
He's collapsing. I think by the levers, or
I thought someone shot him.
Someone may have shot him. Probably Tika or Seth, yeah.
Oh, it might have been Tika, yeah, because she had the handgun.
She had the handgun, Seth had the staff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he dies. In the meantime, the Nimons have finally woken back up. And they're like, "Hey, they screwed up our transport." And the Nimons on the old planet are like, "We've got one thing left to do. Let's consume the power of the planet to try and get ourselves forward." Like, "It's too dangerous. No, we have to try the journey of life." Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't like their journey of life. They're locusts. They go to a planet, consume all the resources, go to the next planet, consume all the resources. Much like the pirate planet, you know? Yeah.
They're nomadic consumption. Do you know what turns grasshoppers into locusts?
What?
Large amounts of dopamine in their brain.
Dopamine?
Yeah, for some reason. That's what I heard. It transforms them into locusts. And they change colors to brown, from green to brown. And they just consume everything.
Grasshoppers are locusts?
Yes. Same creature. They transform. From grasshoppers to locusts.
I didn't know this.
Because they're every, so many years, it just floods their brain with dopamine and they go on. I don't know how it works.
I need to confirm this.
Yeah, okay.
Now that I don't trust you, but That's weird.
Where else do locusts come from? The grasshoppers.
Dude, I have no idea.
They're
I'll
outside.
check this.
Okay.
Alright. Anyway, so
Fascinating.
speaking of locusts, alright, so
Could you imagine if we got hungry, we just changed colors and turned into a different species?
that sounds horrible. Alright. So anyway, okay. So the Nimons have woken up and they're like, pursue them, not catch them or take them. It's pursue them.
Yeah, back on Krynoth, they realized the transmat's basically been shut down, so they have to make it to Skonos on their own, which means using up the last bit of power they have on Craven, which is basically
consuming it. Yeah.
It's the same way they feed off of human bonding energy. They feed off their planet, and it consumes the energy, but it's what's holding the planet together.
Reaction,
It explodes the planet. So they're trying to use that to, because they have no power source left on their planet, they're trying to use their planet as a power source to send their transmats down to Skronos.
Right, but it's very dangerous because
It's gonna
if they
explode
don't
the planet.
manage to make the connection, the whole planet explodes. But anyway, so
Which is
the
awfully
doctor,
convenient.
the doctor, Romana, the 7 tributes, and K9 are trying to get the heck out of the labyrinth.
It's set to explode.
Yeah, and they finally manage to, and the doctor runs out, and there's all these. Soldier is dead.
Mm-hmm.
There's all these. What is it?
Sorak.
Sorak. Yeah, it's like
Skronos army.
Sorakians or whatever. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
the doctor's like, get back, it's gonna explode. And to their credit, they listen to him. They get the heck back.
They have self-preservation. So it says
Yeah,
this thing's
yeah.
gonna blow up. They're
We
like,
all have self-preservation.
okay.
Yeah.
They leave.
And the whole of the power plant, the Nimon had made, explodes.
Well, the miniature explodes
Yeah.
on camera.
Yeah.
How big do you think that miniature was? Oh, about the size of this table, I'd say.
I was just about to say that. Yeah. But anyway, so that explodes. And then
The doctor.
the old planet explodes.
Yeah, so the doctor rushes back to the TARDIS with Romana, and with the help of K9, they reroute. No, was this back when they're in the? He reroutes the transmat to not transport from Krynoth to Skonos, but their transmat is now
Going
directed
to a black hole.
to the black hole that they've made. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're using the power source of the planet to try to make it to Skronos. Instead, they're catapulting themselves into
The black hole.
the black hole void, and their planet explodes.
Yeah.
So our death
basically-
count is an entire species.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
1 off camera, 4 on camera, and 1 entire planet and species are eliminated on camera.
Wait, 1 on camera? How many?
4 on camera, 1 off
Okay.
camera,
An
but also an entire species.
Yeah. So it explodes.
The pilot, co-pilot, Sezum, and Soldi were the 4 on camera.
Yeah, that sounds right. So anyway, the serial ends. The Doctor and Romana and K9 are back in the TARDIS. Everything's good, and Doctor's trying to fix the TARDIS. Seth and Tika and the other tributes are heading back to their planet.
Aneth.
And
On a Skonos battle cruiser.
right, which is painted white now as an allusion to the Agamemnon and Odysseus, which the Doctor briefly mentioned. You know, I'm glad they painted it white because I didn't have them do that the last time. It caused a lot of problems.
Nod to the subject material.
Not to all the original material, and that's where it ends. And that's
The
all
Doctor
good.
says, "A few more millennia left in you, old girl." And
Yeah.
Romana says, "Oh, thank
Oh,
you,
thank
Doctor."
you. And the Doctor's like, no, I meant the TARDIS. And Romana's like,
Well, indignant. I guess that's like
she-
saying, "You look really young."
all right. She just He scrunches
and pets.
and then she smiles.
Oh, that's old.
Yep.
That's the doctor, all right.
Oh, they have such great chemistry. They got married. Such great chemistry.
Yeah, someone mentioned that they made a really great partnership, a good team in this episode where they're bouncing ideas back and forth and
Yeah, and she comes up with
playing off
most
each
of them,
other's
actually.
humor. Yeah, very intelligent.
Okay, so do you have any questions?
I thought there's a really great line when Sesam, who's like the future version of Soldeed, or the past version of Soldeed,
Yeah.
who had already been through everything Soldeed had been, he was talking about, all the lives he had cost, and he said, it's a really great anagram for an analogy for the means never, the ends never justify the means, which is
Correct.
a moral debate we've had on this podcast talking about Doctor Who before. And basically the argument for the ends never justifying the means is why make sacrifices on something that is unsure if you can ensure not making the sacrifice in the first place. It's the current good versus the greater good. It's like when the Doctor had the power to end the Dalek race forever. He's standing there with the
Genesis
wires.
of the Daleks, yeah.
It's like if you murder one murderer, the number of murderers stay the same. But then the companion was like, well, if you murder an entire species of murderers, then that's going to save a lot of lives. He's like, I can't do it. I can't be
But
like
the Daleks did it themselves.
Yeah. But then they survived anyway. It was time travel.
Okay. Wait, what are the questions?
Is the TARDIS always the same? Like you mentioned, it's a something model, and we see the set change on the TARDIS. But how do they explain that in the show? Is like he ever upgrades the TARDIS? The set changes, but the actual ship, lore-wise, is the same.
No. Okay, first of all, it's the same TARDIS.
Same TARDIS.
The entire show. It's a Type 40.
Type 40.
Yes. Type 40.
So it's always a Type 40.
Always a Type 40.
Even though the interior changes.
Yes, because the TARDIS is a living entity. And
Are they all living entities? Does that ever explain
we don't know if they're all living
the
entities,
construction?
but this one is.
Okay.
Alright, eventually you see a bit of the makeup of the TARDIS. We already saw some of the insides of the TARDIS.
We've seen them change control rooms before to like wooden and back to the...
Right, and we've seen other parts of the inside of the TARDIS, especially in the Invasion of Time.
Mm-hmm.
But later on, in Journey to the Center of the TARDIS, you get a lot...
That's the name of the serial?
It's an episode. But the name of the episode is
like
Journey to the Center of the TARDIS. You see many more parts of the TARDIS that are organic, and that the TARDIS is a bit of an organic technological hybrid that allows it to continue to exist like that.
Is it explained how that happened, or it's
Nothing
just always
explains
been...
how that happens. Yeah. It just is because it harnesses the eye of harmony at the center of the TARDIS.
The TARDIS is always a plot device that I can never really wrap my head around. I kind of feel like that's the point, so they can kind of write out escapes.
Yes.
It's like the superhero problem. It's like the TARDIS fixes everything, except the conflict of every episode is the Doctor being separated from the TARDIS, so the TARDIS breaking down. That's how they write conflict into the story. Because if the TARDIS worked perfectly, nothing would ever go awry, basically. Hardly ever.
Partly, yeah. What other questions you have?
We see the TARDIS shield being used as the walkway bridge. That never really happens again, you said?
I said I'm not sure if it ever happens again. I think it might have happened one more time.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
It's kind of
but
not necessary.
I can't guarantee that. It's a bit vague.
If the dematerialization circuit is working properly, because you can just...
Yeah.
But I thought it was neat. It was a cool...
It was very
videography
different.
trick.
Very, very unique.
We talked about the construction of artificial black holes, and the Doctor states this as something that's fairly simple. You just point a
gravitational beam
in a certain direction and creates a black hole. If it's such a simple technology, why don't we ever see the Daleks or any other...
No. It's a simple concept. It's a difficult technology.
Difficult technology. We ever see that again? Like in terms of warfare, people making black holes? Because that's an awesome concept. That's like the atom bomb of space. It's just creating a black hole to suck out the planet. That would be the ultimate doomsday weapon. That would be the Death Star device, right? Because artificial black holes just make a black hole somewhere and it sucks.
I'm not sure. We may see it once again, but I'm not sure.
Can we talk about how the Nimons created the black hole as a warp hole from their previous planet to their new home?
New supposed home.
Supposed home. However, the black hole was the reason that they were losing their energy in transport because their metrosite crystals got stuck in the black hole. Nimons don't seem very smart. If they're saying, hey,
no,
they're
not particularly. I mean,
I'm metrosite from this planet, and they go, okay, and they go, well, that goes right through this black hole we've created. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. And then they get mad when there's like delays in the energy being transported to them.
Wait, what the hell is the question?
I don't know. Nimons are stupid. They create a black hole. Okay, so it's like I'm expecting a pizza, right? I'm expecting a pizza. I'm putting down this really sticky fly trap at the beginning of my driveway. And then my pizza's 5 minutes late, and I open the door. I'm like, why were you late? And he's like, I got stuck on this really sticky mat at the beginning of the driveway. And you're like, who could have foresaw that?
No, agreed.
They could have. I could have. I put the mat out.
Agreed.
They didn't even made the black hole, and then they're losing all their power through it. It doesn't seem very well thought out.
Agreed.
So did the Nimons not know that that Skronos was getting the energy in their sacrifices from Aneth?
No, they knew. They didn't care.
I guess. Why does the Doctor pin the first prize ribbon on K9? Is there any sort of significance to that?
No, he just loves
What does
K9.
that mean? So if like next podcast I come in and I pin a first prize ribbon on you, that's totally normal interaction?
No, but the Doctor's not normal.
It doesn't mean anything.
My ribbon may be blue, not red.
It feels like blue.
Yeah, blue's first prize.
Oh, it was red. Why was it red?
I don't know.
It feels like it was a reference to something that was never referenced, which is like
once
half
again,
of the Doctor's character.
Once again, this serial was very fast, but still the third and fourth episodes were a bit padded. The fourth episode, it was padded by them running around corridors, following K9.
The Doctor just, this whole episode is just kind of goofy. It's very fun. Serial. I enjoyed the characters. I thought the Doctor was very stupid. He accidentally teleports Romana to a different planet. I don't know. It just didn't seem like the Doctor to me. He wasn't on his game.
He wasn't on his game, but he's still the Doctor. He was on his game for a lot of it.
We talked about moral questions. All right, my last question of every podcast is: do we ever see the Nimons again?
Nope, never.
Do we ever see Skronos again, or the Anathians?
Never.
Okay.
This is it. It's a one shot.
That's the one question I always have to ask.
Some Doctor Who news.
Yay,
broke
news.
today.
Today. Breaking news.
So, you remember how they stopped the animations?
Yes, they canceled that since they moved the IP to...
Since they moved from BBC America to Disney Plus. They found more funding. Not Disney Plus. Very specifically not Disney Plus. But they found more funding for the animations. And they've announced The Smugglers from season 4.
Yeah.
The Hartnell penultimate serial.
Was that a historical?
Fairly, yeah.
Or so? Okay.
And The Underwater Menace, the third Troughton serial.
They're going to animate those?
They're finishing up The Underwater Menace, and The Smugglers all needs to be done. They're animating those.
Do you know where they found the funding from?
No. The source of the funding has not been announced.
We got funding from...
But it's very specifically not Disney Plus.
So we got funding from Lone Wolf and Sony.
We got funding from who knows where.
And then we got like 10 times that funding from Disney. And now we're getting animation funding.
Right, but the point is is that there's about 12 more serials that need to be animated.
Man, they're pouring money into
But-
Doctor
but-
Who IP.
But these are being animated hopefully in time for the 60th this November. But I'm just glad to see it because they're continuing to finish off the animations.
We talked about the elephant in the room with Disney being behind the main funding of Doctor Who. So we've seen what
No. Disney Plus.
it's
not the
have
main
the
funding,
stream
but it's
rights.
a lot of supplementary funding.
I feel like it's the majority of the funding.
It's
went from, like,
majority,
10 million to
but not the
100.
main.
Okay, 10 times the
Correct.
which
But
is the
not
main
the main
source of
funding.
funding.
Well, not the basic source of funding.
Well, here's what Disney does with their IPs, right? They get an IP like Star Wars or something,
And they destroy it.
and then they start shitting movies out every single year and spin-off movies and serials, and they do the same thing with Marvel. They're making several movies a year and several TV shows. Do you think that's going to happen with Doctor Who, where we get movies and then spin-off shows, and then we're having just a over influx of Doctor Who IP?
I doubt it.
What they call
But-
it? Oversaturation.
I doubt it, but we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Would that be a bad thing?
I don't
Probably.
know. It depends. If
Probably.
Russell T Davies is doing it, I don't know how necessarily it could be a bad thing, but we'll see. So, 2020 this year, 2023,
Yes.
we've got 3 episodes for the 60th anniversary.
Yes.
Maybe a Christmas episode to premiere Shutai Gatli.
Yeah.
2024 will really start things off next year.
How,
But we're gonna see how it goes. You know?
how long until you and I are watching Shutai?
Shutai Gatli?
Another 4 years, maybe?
4, 5, 6, maybe.
It's gonna be a while.
It's gonna be a while. It's okay. Cheers, man.
Sure.
Cheers. All right. Thank you for joining us
Thank
for
you.
this 108th episode of Joining Doctor Who, the Horns of Nimon. And we'll hopefully see you next
We
week.
broke the centennial.
Centennial.
We're on 108.
Oh, okay. Past 100%.
Whatever they call it. Sing our outro, Hatter.
See you next week.
Bum, 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 bum.